What is the Old Covenant, and does it exist today? The word of the Lord makes a covenant with Abram and his descendants, his DNA. The word of the Lord executes his covenant by instructing Abram to take some animals and cut them in half. And then he passes between the halves. Who is the word of the Lord? Does the Bible provide clues as to who the word of the Lord is? Well, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So the word of the Lord is obviously God. John provides the best clue. The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Therefore, the word of the Lord is Jesus. Therefore, Jesus makes the covenant with Abram. That's why he says, before Abraham was, I am. Jesus claimed that the scriptures testify about him. How could the Word be with God and the Word be God? Well, how could the Lord say anything to the Lord? The people listening had the same difficulty. Is God omnipotent? Well, he claims to be. God says he knows everything from beginning to end. This is helpful when considering the story of Jonah, whereas they worship the fish god Dagon. So Jonah goes in a fish to Shalmaneser. God delivers him in a fish because God knows what Jonah's going to do before he does it. That's why he picked Jonah. We have established that the Word was with God and the Word was God. So did Jesus know that he was going to be crucified when he was making the covenant with Abraham? Well, let's see. The names of the first 10 patriarchs is the first gospel. Man is appointed mortal sorrow. The glory of God shall come down instructing, that his death shall bring those in despair rest and comfort. Therefore, he knew that his death would bring rest and comfort. Jesus knew. That's why he instructed Abram to cut the animals in half. As the word of the Lord, Jesus instructs Jeremiah that he will have a new covenant, a better covenant, because they will break his covenant. He also tells Zechariah that he would break the covenant he makes so that they would know it was him, that it was the word of the Lord. As we learn in Zechariah, passing between the pieces symbolizes the out clause, because on that day they broke the covenant, revoking it when they killed him. Which day did he revoke it? On the day Judas hangs himself, as stated in Matthew 27, which is the parallel passage to Zechariah 11. We now have a new covenant. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that he raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So therefore, God made the old covenant wax away. The old covenant was not for everyone. One of the most shocking verses is in Matthew when he tells a Canaanite woman that he's not going to give the children's bread and give it to the dogs. However, God plans to introduce himself to the world through the descendants of Abraham, and to establish his kingdom through the house of David forever during the time of the Roman kings. Our omnipotent God had a salvation plan before he drove the man from the garden. That is, prior to separation, God knew that he would send his word after us. Our God knows everything, and he meets us where we are. That's why he chose Jonah to be delivered in a fish to people who worship the fish god. God put an end to the old covenant and provided a better covenant of grace by sending his word, his only begotten Son, to die to rescue the captives. God's new salvation plan is better because it's for every nation, tribe, and tongue. And all we have to do is believe. For God so loved the world